The Purdue women's basketball team hosted fourth-ranked Ohio State this past week. Let's take a look at the highlights. Ohio State Buckeyes visiting Purdue, and it is all Buckeyes early in the first 16-0 lead to start the game. So head coach Sharon Verset put in the freshman off the bench and get in there. Yep. Kika Hauser then runs a break with Fakar Malone, and that is pretty. Brittany Rayburn for 2 points. And then it's KK Hauser to Fakar Malone up top, and they find Sam Ostrello with the post down low for 2 of her 14 points in the game. Then off the KK Hauser 3-point miss, it's freshman Ashley Wilson with the rebound, cleaning up down low. Sam Ostrello with the miss, and the rebound, and the 2 points. Then it's Fakar Malone, little jumper up top for 2 points, her only 2 in the game. Well, Boilermakers kept going down to Sam Ostrello. If it's working, keep going with it. There she is again for 2 more. And then a sophomore, Brittany Rayburn, she'll take this one, hoop and the harm. That's a 3-point play for Brittany Rayburn. And then KK Hauser, the freshman sensation from Nebraska, old school 3-point play for her also. And off the Fakar Malone missed 3-pointer, who else would it be? Sam Ostrello once again cleaning up the glass and 2 points for her. And that's the last play of the game. Ohio State, one last chance, and that is no go for Ohio State, and the Boilermakers pull off the upset, beating fourth-ranked Ohio State, 63-61.
Purdue is not currently known for women's tennis, but that could soon change. Sarah Warman hits the courts with one of Purdue's most promising young teams that has a little international flavor.
One of Purdue's promising young teams prepares for what they hope to be a successful season. After finishing in the middle of the Big Ten standings a year ago, third-year head coach Laura Glitz has high hopes for her team.
Well, I think the first expectation is obviously for us to move up in the Big Ten season in our standings. So last year we finished in the middle of the Big Ten, and our goal is to finish top 4 of the Big Ten and also to make the NCAA tournament, which would mean either winning the Big Tens or finishing top 40 nationally.
Purdue easily won its first 2 contests 7-0 and has been pleasantly surprised by several newcomers. Bravani Tiramurti, a transfer from Denver, has impressed so far at the number 3 spot, and freshman Imogen Golder has yet to lose in collegiate action. The team is comprised of mostly freshmen and sophomore players, but is led by senior Michelle Sammons.
Well, obviously, Michelle Sammons is our senior, and she's probably the leader of the team, but one of the things that we've talked about is just everybody sort of assuming that role of leadership every time they step on the court, not only in practice, but also in the matches.
Despite the fact that Sammons is the only senior on the team, she finds comfort that most of her teammates are international students as well as herself.
And it was actually really fun to be a part of a team whose the majority is international, because it's just so much fun to learn about the different cultures, and we all say funny words and that kind of thing, so it's always a fun time.
The team takes the court Saturday for a doubleheader versus Cleveland State and Illinois State. For Fast Track News, I'm Sarah Ortman.
Now let's go to our sports roundup.
Welcome to this week's Sports Roundup. I'm Sarah Wortman.
And I'm Robbie Donahoe.
It was another week that men's basketball team needed to stay in the thick of the Big Ten Conference race, and they continue to stay on the winning track, defeating Michigan at home on Saturday, 69-59. The Wolverines were without their leading scorer, Manny Harris, who was suspended for the contest, and the Boilermakers took advantage thanks to the Indiana three of Robbie Hummel, Jawan Johnson, and Etwan Moore, who combined for 53 of Purdue's 69 points. The win moves the Boilermakers to 16-3 on the season and 4-3 in the conference. Tonight, Purdue will host number 16 Wisconsin as they look to exact some revenge from the losing Badgers in Madison earlier this month.
The women's basketball team had 2 games this week in the Big Ten. Last Thursday, the Lady Boilermakers fell in East Lansing to Michigan State, 72-54. But the Lady Boilers rebounded in a monumental fashion by earning their biggest victory of the season on Monday against number 4 Ohio State. Freshman KK Hauser scored a career-high 18 points. Alongside her freshman cohort, Sam Ostrello contributed 14. The win moves the Lady Boilermakers back to 500, 10-10 on the season, and 5-4 in Big Ten play. Coming up for Purdue are 3 games at Penn State, Iowa, and coming home to take on Illinois on February 4th.
The men and women's tennis teams followed in the basketball team's footsteps by going undefeated this past week. The men's team went an impressive 4-0 on the week, gaining victories over Eastern Kentucky, Eastern Illinois, Butler, and Dayton to start the season out with an undefeated mark. The ladies were able to shut out Eastern Michigan and ground the Rockets of Toledo 7-0 respectively, the first time they had shut out back-to-back opponents since 2007 when they defeated Butler and DePaul. This week, the ladies will look to hold serve at home against Cleveland State and Illinois State, while the men will welcome Ball State to West Lafayette on Saturday.
The track and field teams took home their 15th straight Gene Edmonds Cup by defeating in-state rival Indiana State 182-141. Christina Madison, Rashad Cannon, and Emily Breslin added their names to Purdue's national list of provisional qualifications for the NCAA Track and Field Championships. This week they will compete in the Wisconsin Elite Meet against the Badgers in Madison.
The women's swimming and diving team fell to number 14 Indiana last Saturday, 165-133. Freshman Caitlin Hamilton continued to rewrite the record books at Purdue as she took down the 1,000-yard freestyle Saturday that had stood for 12 years. It was their first loss of the season after starting 5-0, but they will look to bounce back in the Big Ten quad this weekend as both the men and women face Illinois, Wisconsin, and Minnesota.
The Purdue wrestlers put up a valiant effort against the top-ranked Iowa Hawkeyes on Sunday, but ended up bowing out after scoring wins from Colton Salazar and Logan Brown. The loss drops Purdue to 10-5 overall and 1-1 in the Big Ten. They will look to bounce back with meets against top 5 foes Ohio State and the Minnesota Golden Gophers this weekend.
That's all we have this week in Purdue sports. Let's give a big congratulations to former Purdue quarterbacks Drew Brees and Curtis Painter for earning their way into Super Bowl 44 last Sunday and continuing the legacy of the cradle of quarterbacks here in West Lafayette.
Curtis Painter didn't really do very much, but give it up to Drew Brees. Let's go back to the studio with Tommy and Joe.